Wonderful. Hello, we're here tonight with Joan Kopp. It's Kopczynski, I think, but
Yeah.
by Joan Kopp. So she takes pity on you and realizes that that's a mouthful, and we appreciate her. It also makes her name on signs and things a little smaller, so that helps when you're doing layouts. Thank you. Anyway, she's here. She had come up with this idea of information that people should know about quite a while back, and I could just never sort of hear it as something I could fit in anywhere. And recognizing that things that she's talking about usually have deadlines on them or time frames, it just never seemed to be the right thing, but she's proven me wrong. This is something that will be valuable to people year after year, as long as these organizations exist. So I'm glad that she hung in there and insisted that it's something people would want to hear, because you're absolutely right. Um, Joan has been with the Inland Northwest Writers Guild for a number of years. I don't know exactly how long because I don't keep tabs, but it's been a while. And
Since it started, yeah, I was with it when you guys were at Auntie's.
that's what I was going to say. I think you were at those meetings. So that's at least, 10 odd years ago or so. And I know she's a member of staff, and there's probably some other things which she may mention to you tonight that she belongs to, that she cares a lot about. Um, Her background, Joan, at one point, the one thing I know about her is that she did work for the CIA in some capacity. I'm not sure how much of that she's able to talk about, but she does have a novel that has just come out that is about spying, and maybe she'll mention that a little bit too. And otherwise, I'm just going to let Joan take over and we'll see what she has to say for us tonight. So watch your microphones in case racket goes on behind you. You'll need to mute those. And otherwise, Joan, you want to just take it over?
Okay, thanks, Linda. So yeah, I've been writing for a long time, but the latest book, I republished my memoir, which was Spies, Lies, and Psychosis. And so I just republished that in June through Ingram. So, but what I wanted to talk to you tonight are about some of the conferences and also um, the Author Learning Center, because I think people would learn a whole lot from this. I'm going to try to share my document. I tried this the other day, so I'll see if this works. Let's see. Here it is. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, this is the wrong one. Wait a minute. Try this again. Here it is. Okay. Sorry about this. This is not coming up the right one. This is frustrating. Let's see. Uh,
Just keeps wanting to go back to that one, doesn't it?
Oh, I don't know why this is doing this, but let's see. This is frustrating. Sorry, you guys. We tried this the other day and it worked, but um,
You have them both listed below, or are they already open and all you need to do is just click on one or the other?
I don't think they're both open. Let's see. Let me do this.
Would you be able to find it again if you close this one?
Yeah, I can close this. Um,
You have to close that little X up there.
oh, stop there. And now let me try this. For some reason I'm getting that. Well, let me go ahead while I have it up here because this is frustrating. I'll talk about, oh, here it is. I guess I wasn't at the beginning. That's why it is.
There
Okay.
you go.
So this is the Pacific Northwest Writers Association. Can you see both pages, you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just one? Okay. So they have a writers cottage in Issaquah, and the membership costs $65 for an adult or 25 cents for $25 for a student per year. And some of the benefits, I've listed about 5 or 6 benefits. The first one is the monthly newsletter. They send out a monthly newsletter. And one of the things it gives you is valuable writing tips. And let me just show you a
I think you just wanted to go to the end of that document.
no, I'm putting up a different one. This I should be able to do this. This is some of the writing tips. This was in their April 5th newsletter, but some of the tips, they give you tips on like writing a synopsis, writing a query letter, talk about nonfiction. This particular one is knowing your genre. And they go through like mainstream, historical, romance, women's fiction, mystery, thriller. Let's see, horror, paranormal, speculative fiction, fantasy, middle grade, young adult, memoir, nonfiction, and children's and chapter books. And at the end of the tips, they always list resources, other resources that you can click on and check out. So these tips are really valuable, and that's part of what you get in the part of the benefits. Let's see. I think I already have this. Oh, I hope I didn't. Let me get out of this. Okay, this is back to them. And then they also give you information about the PNWA conference, which is every year. They give you information about the writing contest, unpublished and also published books, success stories from members, and books and blurbs about member books. And you could submit the cover of your book and blurb about your own book to be featured in the newsletter, which is great publicity. And then they have monthly speaker meetings. You need to register and sign up for these, but examples of that is like self-edit your story with Lynn Pearson, or freelance writing that gets noticed with Estelle Erasmus. She's giving a presentation tomorrow night, and this is great for people who want to write essays or articles for magazines. But they have all kinds of different speakers. They're all experts, and they're really worthwhile, and this is part of the benefits. And then they have monthly critique meetings. You also need to register or sign up for those. And they're over Zoom, and the administrator will put you in a room with 3 to 5 authors, or you're able to join a room. And what you do is read 3 double-spaced pages from your work. It can be anywhere in your manuscript. And then you get and receive feedback from other members. And this is a great way to get fresh eyes on your manuscript, as well as finding other writing partners. And you can attend as many critique group meetings as you like. And the rules for this is each author takes turn reading 2 to 3 double-spaced pages. You're not supposed to preface your work. You're not supposed to say, this is a mystery, this is chapter 1. This is what took place before this chapter. You just go ahead and read it, and the other writers should be able to know what type of genre you're writing without you telling them, just from reading your 2 to 3 pages. And then each of the other members in the room will give you a 1 to 2 minute critique. And the rule is praise first and then tell what could be improved. And then you're also able to put your email address in the chat, and members may contact you to join their critique group. And if you get contacted and prefer not to join the group, then just be professional and respectful. Give a reason, like it's not a good time or maybe not a good fit. And the members also get a discount on the yearly conference. This year's conference is September 19th through the 22nd. And there's approximately 500 people who attend. The cost for the conference is $425 for members, $525 for non-members. And high school or college students are able to go for $295. I think they had to sign up before July 15th. But they have these conferences every year. It just happens this year, their conference is in September. But you can always Google them and find out when the conference is. They also have master classes, usually like on the Thursday, they'll have a master class, and it's usually $100 or more. And you also can pitch an agent or an editor at the conference. And I think you are allowed 2 pitch blocks to pitch an agent, and there's no extra charge for that. And what you do when you pitch an agent, you figure out, they tell you ahead of time what agents and editors are going to be there, so you can Google them and find out, if that's the right agent or editor for your book or who you want to pitch. And then you go and stand in line. There's a large room, and they have tables on one side of the room, there's tables with agents and editors, and then they have a chair in front of them. And you stand in line to have, an appointment. They ring a bell, and then you go up and sit in the chair and talk to them, and then they'll ring a bell, and your time is up. But it's a pretty good way to pitch an agent. And the hotel is at the DoubleTree Hilton Hotel at SeaTac, and a single room last year was about $185 a night plus tax. Airfare round trip to Seattle is approximately $250 to $300. That's last year's price. And there's also a shuttle to the hotel from SeaTac Airport. Mileage, if you drive, it's about 224 miles from Spokane to the airport, to the hotel at the airport. Another benefit they have for joining the PNWA is access to Author Magazine. They send out the Author Magazine each month, in an email. And Bill Kennewer, the head of it, does author interviews. He interviews authors every month, and you can listen to these. Some are famous, some not so famous. And this is a great promotion for your own book if you get selected for an interview. I know there was a Spokane author, I can't remember what her name was, but she was on Author Magazine about a year or two ago. They also, in Author Magazine, they also put essays about writing. And you could submit your own essay, and if yours gets selected, it's published in Author Magazine. And again, that's great publicity for you. And another benefit is the writing contest for unpublished works. You can see the website for rules, but basically you submit 1 to 2 page synopsis and the first 25 to 30 pages of your manuscript. And there's 12 categories, cash prizes for each category. Those 12 categories are mainstream, historical, romance, women's fiction, mystery thriller, horror, paranormal, speculative fiction, fantasy, middle grade, young adult, memoir, nonfiction, short story, and children's or chapter book. And the other benefit is a writing contest for published books. That's the Nancy Pearl Book Award. I was a finalist for my book, The Freedom Chaser, for the Pearl Book Award. Any indie publisher, it's great to submit your book to be judged. It's judged by librarians. This award is judged by librarians. And there's 3 categories, cash prize in each category: genre, fiction, memoir, nonfiction, or mainstream or literary fiction. Those 3 categories. And a friend of mine last year won first prize in memoir, and she received a $1,000 check. So that's a big deal. The prizes are pretty good. And then the last benefit, you can be a contest judge. You can volunteer to be a contest judge for the unpublished work. And what you do, you'll be given about 10 entries to judge in one of those 12 categories. You can't judge a category if you submitted a contest entry in that category. And then what they do is send you a list of criteria to judge, which includes things like plot, setting, characters, pacing. There's a lot that goes into it, and it can be very time consuming, but it's a great way to learn more about your craft. And you see, it's a great way to find out, you can see by reading the 10 entries, there's usually one that stands out, 1 or 2 that stands out. And, if it's something a genre that you write in, it gives you more information, because I think you learn more about seeing other people's writing and trying to judge it, for on those categories. So the other thing I want to talk about is some other conferences. There's a conference in Montana, in Whitefish, Montana, or Kalispell. It's called Authors of the Flathead. And the 2024 conference is held October 4th to the 6th. And it's called the Flathead River Writers Conference. It's held at the Red Lion Hotel in Kalispell, Montana. And the cost, the Friday, there's a workshop given by an editor, 4.5-hour workshop, and that costs $125. And then October 5th and 6th are the conference, and that costs $190. So this is a lot cheaper conference. It's a smaller conference. There's usually only 100 attendees, and most of the people are a lot more conservative than the PNWA. They're more liberal in that conference, but these are a lot of conservative people. This one usually only has 1 editor and 1 agent that attend. But the authors of the Flathead have some of the best screenwriters in the whole US. And I took a screenwriting class there years ago, and it was well worth it. It was a couple days class, but so you can always Google to see when they have the next conference. Oh, by the way, it's about 304 miles round trip from Spokane to Whitefish. It takes about 4.5 hour drive, so it's not too far. The next conference I want to talk about is Right on the Sound. That's held in Edmonds, Washington, which is not far from Seattle. This is a small, also affordable content conference. It's focused more on the craft of writing. You know, the PNWA has master classes and stuff, but this you'll get more of a variety of sessions and workshops and panel discussions. And it includes writing and the publishing aspects. This one's also held October 4th, 5th, and 6th. And in person is at the Francis Anderson Center in Edmonds. Saturday, September 28th, there's a pre-conference. It's online. Sessions are $125. All 6 1-hour sessions are presented online, and they're available on demand through December 31st. But the actual in-person conference is Friday, October 4th. There's a workshop. You can select 1 3-hour workshop from 4 different options. And then Saturday, October 5th, 5 sessions are $140. Sunday, October 6th is 6 sessions, $140. But if you sign up, register for both Saturday and Sunday before August 31st, you receive a 20% discount. And this conference, they also offer a manuscript critique. You submit 1 page, a short synopsis, and then the first 10 pages of your manuscript. And this is optional. You don't have to do it, but I did this when I went, and it's worthwhile, I think. This is like $47. You get a 15-minute appointment with an editor or yes, usually an editor. These people, fiction or nonfiction, and they also have poetry critiques. And the deadline to submit is September 5th. And they also hold a writing contest. I didn't do this. This is optional. Your entry has to be 1,500 words or less. The theme this year is silence. You can write anything about silence. It could be a poem, nonfiction, or fiction. And the deadline for that is September 5th. Cash prize is $100 for first place, $75 for second place. They also offer a box lunch. And the bus or shuttle that you have to take from SeaTech to Edmonds costs about $60 to $100. And the hotel is Edmonds Harbor Inn, Best Western Hotel. It's about $300 or $400, I think, for the weekend. Round trip airfare from Spokane is approximately $250 to $300. One thing to note, there isn't transportation from the hotel to the event center. So unless you can find a ride from someone, be prepared to walk several blocks. The year I went, 2018, Kristen Hanna was the keynote speaker. She had just published her book, The Nightingale, and was one of the reasons I wanted to attend. However, I found it was a great way. The conference was a great way to hone your craft. I learned a great deal from many of the sessions, which I felt helped me become a better writer. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Author Learning Center. This is it's kind of somewhat similar to Writer's Digest, but it offers content on writing, editing, publishing, and marketing from a variety of experts, agents, best-selling authors, publicists, and editors. and it teaches authors in more than 120 countries. Countries. And by taking advantage of the ALC, what it has to offer, you can be better equipped to finish your manuscript, better educated on the publishing industry, and empowered to make smarter choices for your book marketing. A subscription costs $9.99 a month. There's no other cost. There's a 30-day free trial, and it's easy to cancel. They offer writing webinars, editing webinars, publishing webinars, marketing webinars, programs, and videos. And what you need, first of all, is to set up a profile that tells the ALC what your writing goals are, because that's how you get, they'll send you certain webinars by what your goals are. And they offer, I didn't take advantage of all this stuff, but they have video interviews, podcasts on writing, editing, publishing, and marketing, live online webinars with industry experts. That's what I mainly took it for, and they are excellent. Articles and recorded webinars. The book launch tool helps you identify the tasks needed to complete your book and helps track your progress. The author circle enables you to invite people into your private online writers group and provide feedback and encouragement through your publishing journey. There's a wide range of interviews from many best-selling authors. These are some that they had in the past: Elmer Leonard, Mary Higgins Clark, Mitch Albom, Seth Godin. There's a lot of other ones. And the ALC library stores articles and recorded webinars for easy access. You need to belong to have access to the ALC library. But they'll send you upcoming notices and reminders. They'll send you an email with, that a webinar is going to be a certain date, and then you go ahead and register for it. And then they'll send you notices and reminders, an hour before, a week before. And you're also able to take, what they do is they have, sort of like PowerPoint, but at the top of your screen, you can take screenshots at the top of the taskbar, and you can save them to your desktop and print them out later if you want to do that. I tended to do that rather than use the ALC library, but I'm a type of person that prints the internet. So, but some of the past webinars that they offer about 2 to 4 per month, and you only get the webinar if you sign up for it. You have to register. But some of the ones in the past were Successful Authors Know Their Business. This is given by the president of the ALC. How to Write Page Turners by Helga Scheer. Helga Scheer has a PhD in literature, and she was formerly an executive editor for Random House Crown. And tips for successfully submitting your manuscript, she gave that one. Top 10 steps to a successful revision. I was going to show you that, the notes. What I tended to do, they will give you a handout, that you can click on, and you can get the handout before you actually, take the webinar. And I print those out, and then I also print out screenshots, and I have, and a lot of times I take notes. This one, top 10 steps to a successful revision, I took notes and then typed up my notes, and I refer to those every time I finish a manuscript. I just feel like they're really good. She had things like, oh, I wish I had that up. Darn it. Anyway, she had things like, print out your manuscript, read it out loud, mark things where you laughed or cried, mark things, in a certain color sticky note, mark other things that need revision, in a different color sticky note. She had all kinds of of, you know, things like that that you should do. And like I said, I use that. I go over my notes every time after I finish a manuscript. Some of the other ones were dynamic dialogue strategies to go from good to great, book advertising 101, book marketing for indie authors and publishers, Beth Kalman Werner. I contacted her. I tried to get a consultation with her, and she did give me, I think, 2 consultations free of charge, which is really good because she could charge a lot of money for it. Some of these people you end up contacting later on. Library marketing for authors, how to build a power author brand, how to give a great author interview, creating dynamic book pitches for agents, publishers, and the media, how to get great endorsements for promoting your book, Goodreads, what every author must do and how to do it, how to nail your book launch with the right pricing and distribution, SEO for authors, improving your online discoverability, audiobooks 101. And here's what some authors had to say about the Author Learning Center. Emails from the Author Learning Center highlighting a webinar or article often brought critical steps to my attention that I might have otherwise overlooked. The webinars are a great way to learn and pick up useful tips and guidance on such a vast array of topics. The instructors are always well informed and easy to understand. The 3 phases of bookmarking program really gave me focus. I love the pacing of the course and alternating each week between instruction and group interaction. When I saw the Book in a Year program on the ALC, I immediately knew this was my way forward. So I'll stop sharing the screen. So I can hold up, like, I don't know if you can see this. These are some of the things that, you know, what I did because I didn't have use of the library. You can listen to the webinars over again, but I like to see things in writing. And so I printed out the screens and stapled it all. You know, I have and stapled my notes. And so I have it all real handy if I want to, you know, and I've done, oh, I'd say 20 or 30 of these, you know, these ALC webinars, you know, I put together stuff. So I think they're really worth it. It is $9.99 a month, but you get a free trial. If you're not happy, you can always cancel, and it's easy to cancel. So that's about it that I have. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Remember to unmute yourself if you want to ask something. That was great, Joan. I appreciate it. A lot of work went into that.
I have a comment. And Joan, yes, thank you. Your presentation is really good. I wanted to add something about PNW, PNWA. I've been a member of it for quite a number of years, and the conference is really incredible. The thing I really liked about it, it's pricey. I mean, there's no way around that. But the dollar value, I think, is really, really good. And you can save some money if you're okay with maybe getting an Airbnb. I did that when they were at DoubleTree. And I think the master classes are just the people they have come in and teach are phenomenal. The keynote speakers are amazing. The thing that I really, really liked about it is when you go more than once, you start to develop a group of friends that you get to see every year. And so coming back from it, it's not only the stuff you get out of the workshops, but that feeling of just this shot in the arm and knowing that there are other people that are struggling with the same things that you are. And I think because so many of us writers are introverts, it's kind of nice to know, oh, okay, I guess I'm not so crazy after all. So that was the comment I wanted to make.
I was just going to comment that I'm already registered and this will be my second year.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Hmm.
So I went to the Whitefish Conference for 4 years. And then I went to, in I think 2008, I can't remember if I went to a PNWA conference before that, but anyway, the 2008 conference, I went, and Marion Schieffer was in line for she's a Spokane writer, and she was in line for a sandwich in front of me. And she turned around and started engaging me in conversation. And then I met a group of writers that became my critique group, and I met them in Seattle. So it changed my whole life. It was really great. I
Yeah.
think that the conferences also kind of get you pumped up to, you get more enthusiastic about writing. At least that's what always happened to me. You come back really excited about writing again.
And they're excellent for community building. I mean, making connections for your networking and meeting people, and you hit it off, and then you can write to them later maybe and correspond a little bit and get some ongoing support. That's a great thing.
I have a question, Joan, about the Montana conference. You mentioned that, yes, I see it's smaller, and that can sometimes be a really good thing. But you mentioned that they're more conservative. Can you expand on that a little bit, what that means?
Well, I found they were more conservative than the PNWA group. I don't know, it's been a long time since I went there, but I just fit, it's the difference between, what people in Montana are like, and what people in Seattle are like. That's the difference. More kind of cowboy type in Montana, or, Seattle, it's, much more diverse. But some people really like small conferences. I love the PNWA because there were a lot more choices. That's what I liked about the PNWA.
Have any other folks been to any of these conferences?
I went to the one in Montana a long time ago.
No?
It seemed fine. I mean, she's right. It is smaller, but it seemed okay. They were helpful.
Yeah, I think for the big ones, sometimes there's so many people attending those. I know it's that way for the book industry too, for the publishers and authors that get together for the things for publishers. And there's so many people that it's almost overwhelming. I mean, you find yourself standing in lines and lines and lines, and if you meet very many people at all, like at the book fair parts where they go and look at all the products and they give you books to take, it just eats up everything, and you walk away just exhausted. You kind of say, well, what did I learn?
Yeah, and one of the big draws for PNWA is the pitch. And they put a lot of focus on pitching to agents and editors. And for a long time, as indie author, the whole idea of publishing independently was starting to gain some traction. They were very slow to adopt it. And there's still that sort of, because they developed relationships over the years with the publishing houses and the agents and editors. And so their focus has tended to continue to be that way. But if you're really into traditional publishing, this is a great conference to go to, because what happens when you get to go pitch to an agent or editor is that you get to circumvent the slush pile. Because if they like your work, they will ask for a synopsis and a certain number of pages. And so, and you get direct access to them. So it's a really very good way of getting getting in front of an agent or an editor. And they do a lot of training on how to pitch, on how to do an elevator pitch, how to do a pitch in front of an agent or editor, so that they provide the resources so that when you do go and pitch, you're not totally having to do a, cold shower.
Yeah, yeah, they're good about that. I remember one conference, I think it was before 2008. I had written this spy thriller and researched the company, the agent and stuff that I wanted to pitch and stuff. And I had my hopes up so high, and I didn't know anybody else at the conference or anything, but anyway, I pitched him and I forget what he said, but he rejected me. And I went back to my hotel room and just bawled, because nowadays they're more apt to say, send me, your work and stuff. But back then, just based on a pitch, they'd say, no, sorry, or whatever. It was awful.
I know Beth has herself unmuted. Go ahead, Beth.
Yeah, I unmuted myself because I attended a Pacific Northwest Writers Conference back, I think in 2014, and I entered their contest and they gave me a $700 check, which just blew me away. I had just self-published the first book, which now is a trilogy plus one. So it's I don't know what you call 4 books, but anyway, so it was for Standing Stones. And what I learned from that, 500 people and being called up and all of that, it was very intimidating. I had no idea what to expect. Content of the conference was absolutely excellent, but the winners were taken to a special room to meet the agents, a small room with maybe 20 people in there. And this one agent was talking to me and I was enjoying talking to him. And suddenly this other woman just cut right in front of me and said, "Oh, I so want to meet you," and blah, blah, blah. And I just didn't know what was happening. I didn't know how to capitalize. So I think what Joan was talking about, the author learning center and all of those resources, those are things, those kinds of webinars are things that we can take advantage of to prep ourselves for these other more sometimes intimidating situations where we kind of go, whoa, what just happened? But I'll take my $700 and go home. Thank you very much.
That's amazing. You got $700.
Oh yeah, it was a blast back in 2014. Yeah. But the other thing that was incredibly helpful was with that contest, you get all these pages from the judges of comments, and those are not just fill out a form. Some of the comments were incredibly detailed and encouraging. So that is another reason to not only participate by going to the workshops, etc., and the meeting other people, but also to really dive into the workshops. So that's
they gave you feedback, PNWA gave you feedback with, and did you win Nancy Pearl?
I have no idea which one it was.
Oh.
It was,
It was the unpublished
almost 10 years.
It was
content.
unpublished. Yeah, because I didn't get feedback with Nancy Pearl. So I was curious if they changed between when you won and when I won.
I have, I'm sorry, I can look it up.
Because the feedback is what really helps you make.
Yes.
Yeah, the award is really nice, yay, but it's the feedback that helps to make you a better writer for your next project.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Of course, the money is a pretty good feedback.
yeah, the money's pretty good too.
If you enter the unpublished contest, you do get feedback on your work, because they give you critiques. Everybody that enters gets 2 critiques, and they could be either helpful or not helpful. I worked really hard. I didn't do it this year, but I did it last year, and I worked really hard. I can't remember which, I think I judged, maybe it was mystery thriller or something like that, that I made sure I put something, you're supposed to, they tell you to put something positive in there, and then put, like pacing, or tell the author what they did well. and then what they could do to improve. And, it's when you judge it yourself, it's really, really hard to do that, especially you get somebody that's a beginning writer, that the plot isn't very good, or, you can't follow the story or something. You've got to say a lot of good things about that to encourage the writer, and that can be challenging. But the feedback is good. I've entered the contest. Well, a funny thing was my book that became Spies, Lies, and Psychosis. I entered it twice under different names. I had different names for it. That's what it ended up being. But I had different names, and I entered it twice. And the second time I got basically an F. I got a worse score. Back then they had A through F or something, and I got a worse score the second time I entered it, and I complained, and it went up to, higher up. I don't know who it was, but somebody wrote me, and I had my tutor that I worked with for 15 years, my writing coach, Robert Gover. He was in on the conversation and stuff. And I said, well, I've been writing for 25 years. How does this help me to get, a poor grade like this? You tell me how that helps me. And so then after that, they changed the rules where you had to say something that whoever judged the contest entries had to say something positive first about the different criteria. So it was interesting, but
Well, you had an impact then.
yeah,
For you.
Yeah.
but I never knew who it was that I was talking to. It was somebody high up. I don't know if it was Pam Binder or who it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Any other things you want to say at all?
I am curious about, has anybody heard very much about, there's one in San Francisco, and I've kind of heard a little bit about it, but it sounds like it's like huge. And I don't know that, I mean, how beneficial something that, is there, a place where it gets too big? And how, I mean, you get stuck, I guess.
There's one also in Willamette, Oregon, that I heard from one of the Spokane authors that she went to it, and she said it's bigger than PNWA. She recommended going to it, but I never did go to it. But I've had a lot of people from the San Francisco conference contact me and want me to go. This was years ago, and I think one of the things you look for in a conference is who are the speakers, who are the agents and editors, what do you want out of the conference? Like if you're going for improving your craft, especially if you're a beginning writer, I would go to the Edmonds conference rather than the PNWA. But it depends on who, I don't go to the PNWA conference every year because it's very expensive. The airfare and the hotel is what kills you, but it's nice to stay at that hotel where it's at, because you can go up to your room instead of having to drive, in Seattle to go someplace. But it's very expensive. Those people in Seattle are lucky because they only have to pay about $500 to go to the conference, so.
We need to write to all those organizations and convince them to come over here to the convention center in Spokane.
Well, it was funny, 'cause years ago, Bob Mannion got Robert Dugoni to come over here and give a workshop one day, and I got a lot out of the workshop. I think it cost $100. There, he had quite a few people, but he said it wasn't really worthwhile because he had to pay for airfare and the hotel. And I thought, yeah, what do you think about the PNWA conference for us people in Spokane? Yeah, but it's just a difference.
Yeah, it's too bad. That's why so many webinars and things I think are virtual, you know, they're online because it's so expensive for the speakers and to send them. The publishing industry used to send major authors around. We used to get tons of them at Auntie's, but it reached a point where for them to come, they would have to sell so many books at the store, like 400 or 500 books, and even at that, it's just supporting, you know, whatever goes to the publisher because the publisher would be paying for the tour, you know, from maybe they go to Seattle and fly to Spokane and fly to Boise or wherever, but each stop maybe overnight, and you know, you're talking a couple $300 with the room and the meals and all that, and they finally just stopped doing it. Then they go up the West Coast, maybe they'll go to LA and then send them up to Oregon someplace and into Seattle. You just don't see that kind of travel anymore. It's sad. But there's one thing, who was it that said there's the one thing we know will always stay the same, and that's change. It'll always be there, something like that. I'm mutilating that statement, but anyway, that you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, right before the pandemic hit, I quit my job and I had a lot more time on my hands. So I took advantage. Writer's Digest they offered this thing, they still offer it. You can watch videos of writing sessions or whatever it is. And you get the first month free. So I watched 1 or 2 a day, and then unsubscribed. So you know, I got a lot out of that. And then I joined the Author Learning Center. So I had webinars, you know, 2 or 4 webinars a month, and I learned a whole lot from that also, you know, and plus PNWA. You know, I learned a lot from theirs. I love their writing tips and stuff in their newsletter, and I like Author Magazine. You know, they have a lot of benefits. You think it's kind of expensive, but really you get a whole lot out of it. I mean, you know, you join, I think about the difference, you know, I joined SASP and I paid $15 a year, and I never went to most of the meetings because I worked full time. I couldn't. And you know, you get the emails, but nothing, I didn't really get that much that interested me. So I kind of felt like the money going to PNWA, you know, was better spent because I got a whole lot out of it.
Let's see, Jennifer, you've been quiet. Do you have anything you'd like to pop in here with?
No, just listening. It's all very good and very helpful.
Sometimes we just listen, huh? And let's see. I don't know. Who hasn't talked yet? Who wants to talk? Somebody wants to talk. I can feel it. I'm a psychic. I feel that someone has something important to say. Well,
So if
Okay.
anybody wants my notes, you know, that I had on the screen and stuff, I can send them to you. I don't know how I get the email addresses, or you can just send me an email and I'll send them to you if you want them.
see. Do you all have access to the chat there on your Zoom screen? You could, Joan could would you like them to write to you, Joan? We'll just put your address down and then whoever wants it can write to you and you can respond, or would you rather they gave their addresses first?
It doesn't matter, you know, that was in one of the emails, my email address was, and I
Okay.
think Darlene asked for the presentation before, and I said I'd send it out after the meeting, so. Yeah, so whoever wants it, you know, I'll send it to you if you send me an email.
And I think it was in the newsletter, so that's available in there. If anybody here doesn't get the newsletter, go ahead and write to me and from the Zoom link email, and I will send you Joan's address. Whatever works, okay? Good to see you, Crystal. Have you been working your little fanny off?
Of course, trying to stay busy.
How's your website coming along?
It's pretty good. I've added a few different pages for writer resources.
Uh-huh.
So I really like to attend this sort of thing so that I can kind of get a better scope of exactly what's out there, because it's so easy to just get buried in the avalanche of information. So trying to kind of parse, you know, what's the most valuable.
Yeah.
It's
Is
always
it
a
stuff
challenge.
that people can access right now and look at? If you put your webmail website in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have information up, resources, any of that kind of stuff that you would want to make available? I know I've got the Guild's newsletter, or I'm not newsletter web. Why do I always confuse newsletters and websites? I can't seem to keep them straight. Anyway, the website, there's a lot of that. Okay, so if you've got the chat open here on your Zoom, you can see there's Crystal's. You know, she's an editor. By that's her job. Oh, thanks, Joan. There's Jones too. And let's see, there are some resources. I'll go ahead and put in again, but let's see. Dash, what the heck is it called? Not. That's INWG.com. That's the website for the organization. There's some pages there. I made some changes to it, so it might be a little more friendly. I think if you go, there's two buttons on the front. One's called community, and one's resources, I think. Anyway, if you click on that stuff, it'll take you to pages with more things to click on, so you can just kind of burrow yourself on down in the pages, and eventually you'll end up with something. Good to see you too, Tonda. And Terry Stevens is new with us. We're happy to see her join.
Hello, thank you. Just enjoying listening to you guys.
Wonderful, wonderful. And despite the fact that she's got two witches on her thing, she's friendly. She's like the good witch.
Mhm.
Let's see. Crystal, was it you that put the guild thing up, Crystal? Something went wacko on the.
Yeah, it looks like the message that you sent wasn't public for everybody else to see, so I just reposted it.
Crystal, yeah, I didn't change it, and I didn't have it set on you, so that's very strange. I wonder why it did that. I hadn't even touched it before now. Well, I suppose it's like 8 o'clock, 8:01 or something like that. It's the witching hour, as they might say. We appreciate a lot your time and energy, Joan. I think you gave us lots of good information. And thank you. Good job.
Yes, thanks, Joan.
You do that.
So we look forward to seeing everybody again next month. We're going to have a fellow out of Idaho that Kalela suggested, who will talk to us about audiobooks. He is a narrator and also an author. but he will talk about the state of audiobooks and what he knows about how to connect with people that do those things and all that. So hope you can make it next time as well. And then you'll hear about the future at other times. Can't cover it all right now, right? Right.
Right.
So thank you all so much for being here. I love seeing all your smiley faces, and thank you. It's wonderful the way you support the guild. And thanks again, Joan.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so
Thanks,
much.
Linda, too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Linda.
Bye-bye.